Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to play with a video game database because that's always fun, right? So let's start with importing pandas and just reading that database. I downloaded it from Kaggle, so you can see that it's already pretty clean and easy to understand, so not a lot of work to do there. So the fun's going to be to analyze it and maybe have some quick data visualization as very basic stuff that we're going to do. So you have informations about the game, the platform, the publisher, the sales in different regions of the globe, and you go down to the user score count and the developer, which is different from the publisher in some cases. So let's just go real quick and analyze a few things in there before we dive into it by doing a df of global sales, my bad, maybe dot describe, just to see what we're gonna get here. And what we're gonna get, I guess, is an error. Global sales, yeah, it's capital S, my bad. Here we are. So we have almost 17,000 values, and all the values there seem pretty low, aside from the max, which is exactly what we can see in global sales right there. But a quick verification is by changing here the df to a tail, and we're gonna see that, yeah, down there the values are really low and next to 0 actually. So I guess that within all those 17,000 values, since like 75% of them are within a 0.4 range, because those numbers are millions, this database is gonna be really biased towards like the biggest ones, because all the others have very little difference in between each other. But it's okay, we still have fun stuff to do, right? So now let's do the same thing with a column that's not numbers, and we're going to do that with the name of the game and call describe. And yeah, here we are. So you have the count in the same way as before, but here you can see that you have 11,500 unique values, and of all those values, the one that comes the most often is Need for Speed Most Wanted, with 12 appearances, in the database, which is quite a lot. And we could wonder, like, why is that? Why do we have 12 Need for Speeds in there? So let's just check it out. So we're gonna call a df.query, where we're gonna say that name is gonna be equal to, and let's be lazy, because lazy is efficient most of the time, and copy and paste Need for Speed. So what did I do? Yeah, of course, here we are. So this is looking like 12 lines of Need for Speed. So yeah, and we can see that we have a line for different platforms and release dates. So that's interesting, because we know now that every line and every number is going to be about a specific release of the game and not the overall game data. So if we want to analyze something about it, we're going to need to group it by the name of the game. But that's not what I want to do today. We're going to group by the publisher value, because I just want to find out about the biggest publishers and where they're the biggest publishers, in which region, right? So let's do this by first of all grouping by editors. So what does that mean? I'm going to create the table editors by doing a group by of my data frame. So df.groupBy is going to group by my data frame by a column that I choose, and then do an operation on all the other values. Let me explain. So we're going to do by equal to the column publisher. It's way better without this here. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna group everything by. But then you agree with me that you've gotta do something with all the numbers in the columns, right? So to those numbers, we're gonna do a sum. Just as easy as that. For any other kind of value, this is another topic for another day. But I don't want all the other values. I want the global sales, the regional sales. So what I'm gonna do is just call this here, and in the data frame, I'm gonna select only the columns. NSLs, EU sales, Japan sales, other sales, and global sales. Obviously, I did a little test before, so I'm just gonna be copying and pasting this for the sake of speed and efficiency. So here we are, and let's see what we get from this. Yeah, doesn't work if you don't call for the variable. We're in Anaconda, but it's still not the, you still have to code sometimes, right? So here we are. We grouped by the publisher. You can see that it's now here. We have everything. Interesting thing, editors.index. You can see that the index is now the name of the companies, okay, the name of the publishers. Just making sure this is clear. You could set the as index equal false here, if I remember correctly. Let's do it real quick. And yeah, exactly. So it wouldn't be as index. And since we removed the column with our selection, you don't have it here. So we would need to add it now, because now editor.index is just an iterable object. Okay. So let's not do this and go back to standard. You know what? Let's just say it's true. So this way it's more clear for anyone reviewing the code, right? And here we are with our publishers, but this is not very interesting. I want to see the top, because why bother about the last? To do this, we're just going to sort the values. So we're going to say that this editors table is going to be equal to editors.sort values, and we're going to sort those values again by something, and it's going to be by global sales, obviously. And we're going to say that ascending is equal to false, and then call editors, because otherwise we don't see anything. And here we are. We can see that our top 5, it goes from Nintendo to Ubisoft. Let me say that head 10 maybe. Okay, that's better. So we go down to THQ, Konami, Sega, and Namco Bandai, which is the healthy 10th place of publishers, which is pretty interesting. So now what do I want? Well, I am very curious about knowing who's the biggest publisher in different region and overall. We can see here that overall Nintendo's the biggest, but where is he the best, and how can we analyze that? So let's maybe just do a quick little data frame. That's not a data frame. Let's go just with a dictionary, right? That's going to have those different lists of publishers. So I'm gonna call the top 4's. Top 4 is gonna be equal to a dictionary. If I manage to type once in my life. And then we're gonna call that for region in this. We're gonna make a tuple out of it because it's the most efficient data structure here. So for region in all the regions of my data frame, I'm gonna say that top 4 of region is gonna be equal to, it's gonna be equal to a list of the editors dot sort values. And here is the interesting part. Okay, we're gonna sort values by the region, ascending equal false, and then we're gonna take the top 4, the head 4. But we're not done here, because we don't want to return the data frame, we want to return just the publishers, which is the index. Okay, so here we are. This is our thing to create our dictionary. So now let's print top 4. And we have it. So for NA, like you can see that we have Nintendo, Electronic Arts, Activision, and Sony. For EU, Nintendo is still the boss with Electronic Arts, Activision, and Sony. So we're pretty close to NA in terms of market. But you can see a big switch in Japan. and in the others, which I guess is like the Oceanic region and African regions, for example, and South America. And on the global sales, Nintendo, Electronic Arts, Activision, and Sony, showing how EU and NA are really like polarizing the market, especially NA. Just note that if you're using Jupyter Notebook, sometimes using the print statement gives you another layout for your answers, so it's easier to read, just for you to know. Now I'm gonna want to do some data viz with those, and this format is not really nice for me, so what I'm gonna do is transpose this top 5 of publishers into something that I can use for my data viz, and this is really easy. I'm just gonna be doing this simple command. It's gonna be, so my by publisher, my table sorted by publisher is gonna be the editors dot head. I just want the 5 best this time, and I'm going to transpose it with the command .t. Easy as that. So what's going to happen? Here you see that you have columns that are the sales, and you have the index or the rows, which are the different publishers. So if I transpose the table, we're basically like switching the rows into columns and the columns into rows, meaning that now we're gonna have my publishers being the columns and the rows being the values, which is way easier for me to make some data viz with. So let's call by pub and see what that does, and here you are. Your publishers are Nintendo, Electronic Arts, Activision, and Sony and Ubisoft, when everything else down there is the sales. So this is what we're going to work with now. So let's go ahead and do some data viz, and this is going to be with today Plotly Express, so as px. Plotly Express is very nice for your first data viz because you don't have to bother with most things, you just very quickly do stuff. You've got other tools that you might use that are even easier, but that's what I wanted to remind myself today. So now we're going to create a filter, which is going to be my by pub index, and it's going to be different, so different than global sales. Sorry. Because when I'm going to do my database, I don't need the global sales. The global sales are going to be the addition of everything else, right? So I want to filter it. And now I'm going to call that my by pub filtered is going to be equal to by pub of filter. Okay, basic pandas data frame operation. Here we're returning a boolean data frame with boolean values. Okay, and those boolean values are going to filter my rows, and then I'm getting my new filtered data frame. So let's see what it looks like by pub filt, and we have it everything without global cells. Easy as that. Now we are just going to create our object for the data viz, which is going to be my pie of publishers. Let's just say publish, and we're going to call px, so my Plotly Express dot py, so the py object. And in here we have just a few things to enter. So first the data frame we're using, so it's going to be by pub py, which is so my by pub filt, but let's call it py, this way we know where we're going. I like it better this way. Here we are. And nothing's gonna happen here because we're not done. So we're gonna use by pub py. Now we're gonna call names is gonna be equal to, and names are gonna be put as the legend of your figure. So it's going to be the list of by pub pi dot index. So we're taking the index to feed the legend of our figure, but we need to make it a list because what this is asking for is a list object. Then values is going to be equal to Nintendo, because I want a pie chart of the Nintendo sales in the world. So what are we going to, so this is kind of a filter, if you will, like it's the column that you're choosing to use for your data viz. This is why we transposed the data frame to begin with. And then we're going to do title is going to be equal to Nintendo sales repartition, I guess. And now we're almost done, but we need to show the figure that we created. So this is going to be a pi publish dot show. And here we are, Nintendo sales repartition, and you can see that we have 45% of NA sales, 25 in Japan, 23 in Europe, and 5 in other countries. So it's not surprising, but Nintendo is very popular, which is crazy is how big it is even in the US compared to its hometown, which is Japan. So yeah, pretty basic data viz. And we're gonna finish this video with something a little bigger. But first, let's just edit our figure. So you can update your figure in Plotly, and this is thanks to a command that's called pi publish dot update traces. Update traces allows you to go into your figure and put some new informations once you've mastered everything a little more. So now I can edit a lot of things. For example, what I want to do now is to put my legend inside of my figure, so that like we don't need this legend on the right? We don't want this. We want everything to be inside our pie chart because it's big enough. And this is pretty easy to do, because all we need to do is say that the text position is going to be equal to, and this is where I don't want to mess up, percent plus label. Those are easy to find in the documentation. Okay, so it says that what you're going to put in your pie chart is the percentage and the label of the value, and then inside text orientation is just simply what it says. What's the orientation of the text inside? And you see that here everything like was horizontal, but if I do something like auto, I'm gonna have another result, which is very interesting. And then show legend is gonna be equal to false because we don't need it now. We're putting everything inside the pie chart. Interesting here, you don't need to show the figure again, at least in Jupyter Notebook. So what did I do? Text position, property of pi, percent plus label is wrong. Oh, my bad. I forgot. Text position is gonna be inside. And my text info is going to be equal to percent plus label. My bad, I wanted to go a bit too fast here. So that's the final thing. Text position being that everything's going to be inside of your pie chart. The information you're going to showcase is the percentage and the label. And so now we have it. And you can see that here overcells now is trying to fit into the purple color, and so it's going like vertical. What if I change this auto to something else, where I can use the keyword radial, I think, and see everything's axed towards the center of your pie chart now. But if you use horizontal, then you're going to go back to what we have before, which is everything horizontal, and then the legend is going to be scaled so that it fits where it is. So sometimes this might be a little hard to read, right? But it's good enough. And we're going to finish with the big meat of this video, which is another plot, but this time I want to generate in one big graph all my regions pie charts at the same time. And for this we won't use Plotly Express, we're going to use Plotly itself, because I want to create a plot and then subplots. So we're going to import from Plotly subplots. We can import make subplots like this, and then we're going to import Plotly graph underscore objects as geo. So subplots is the ability of Plotly to create plots within the plot, and graph objects is the Plotly's like list of actual objects outside of your Plotly Express function, which is a very like smaller package for you to make easy figures. Here the figures are going to be more complicated and you have more control over them. So let's do this again. Publisher is going to be equal to publisher for publisher in by pub pie dot columns. So what am I doing here? I'm creating a list of every publisher that I have in my table, and instead of like bothering to go up and copy and pasting again, I'm just gonna call this, and you see that it's nothing crazy. Okay, we just have this this list of publishers, and we don't have to bother too much about it. And now we're gonna make our figure, so we're gonna call it fig, and this figure is gonna call the function make subplot first, because this is going to be the canvas for us to draw into. Okay, that's basically what we're going to work with now. So this subplot is going to have rows, and it's going to be 1, and cols, which is going to be 5, because obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we want to have them next to each other. The specs of this. So follow me here. We're gonna have 5 pies in this plot. So for each of them, we want to say what kind of figure it's gonna be, and this is gonna be a list. So we have a list of values, okay, and inside of this list, we're gonna add another list, which is a dictionary. So in here you have a dictionary, which is going to be the type of your figure, okay, which is a pie. Yeah, so that's what you want to showcase, but in this structure you want to showcase it 5 times. So I'm just going to call for x in range 5, and here I have my specs. Subplots title, yeah, this is a title bit, is gonna be equal to publishers. Remember, it's here. Okay. And this sounds good. So now this is our subplot. Okay. Just an S that's missing here, and it's publisher. Gosh, I am struggling. Rows, typos, subplots, title, subplot title. Okay, well, we'll keep it because that's how coding goes, right? So now, what we want to do now is generate figures in this subplot, and we're just going to loop this with all the data from our data frame. So first I need to create a variable for the position, which is going to be our column, because we're going to switch column after column for every new plot that we're going to create. Then we're going to say that for publisher in publisher. I should have called it something else like publishers, I guess. And my bad. We're gonna do that in by pub dot columns, which is my publishers. Okay. So publisher works too. We're gonna say fig.append trace. So this is how you're gonna add a trace to your subplot, and it's literally an append, meaning that you're adding them one after the other, and they're just gonna pop into the next spot in your subplot according to the rows and columns you defined. We're gonna create a graphic object, geo, and we're gonna create a pi capital P, because within graphic objects that's how they work. And here we're going to say that the labels are going to be equal to by pub pi. Sometimes I regret the names of my variables. Dot index, remember that those were the publishers. Sorry, the values in my by pub pi. And the values are going to be equal to by pub pi of publisher. Okay, so now we're looping, creating a new trace using all those informations. And now we're going to define that the row of this trace is going to be 1 because we only have one row anyway, and the call is going to be my position, which is right there. So for now it's 1. And finally, I'm just going to say that pos is going to be added 1. Okay. Once we've done that, what you need to do is to update your layout. So update layout. It's gonna be of a height of 300, width of 300. I remember that, sorry, 800, that it was looking pretty nice with those settings. And the title text is going to be side by side subplots. Okay. And now maybe let's just do a figure show and see what happens. Oh, I have double width. Okay. And there we have it. So basically we've succeeded in having those 5 subplots next to each other, but they don't look that good because of a few things, right? You can see that for Nintendo everything is going great. The 5.29% just got outside of the plot in a very natural way. Same here for the 11, but you can see that the titles here are kind of messy, which is bad for us. We like the legend this way here because this time we have way too many plots and they're way too small for us to put the values inside of them. But there is a way to make this look a bit better and readable, and I found out while doing this exercise for myself. So those videos are really interesting for me too. So for annotation in Fig, and this is the thing, you have in your figure, for every value you have a layout, and in this layout you have an annotation. So you can loop through all the items of your subplot, okay, and access the parameters of those subplots and different items within them. And here we're accessing the annotations, which are actually their title in the end. And so here we're going to do an annotation, and everything's working as a dictionary there because of the data structure. So it's a Y anchor, and we're going to say that it's a bottom, because I want to anchor it at the bottom of the space and then angle it upwards so that they're not going to overlap each other. They're going to be like angled towards the top of the frame. Then we're gonna say annotation of y, and y is going to be equal to 0.9. So it means the title's position is going to be 0.9. I don't really know exactly instinctively how to place them. I just like tried a few things, and 0.9 feels good. Annotation of yref, and yref is I believe the name of the font or something. I don't remember. I'll just put it again. But don't trust me on this one. Annotation of text angle, and this is where we angle stuff. Text angle, we're gonna say it's gonna be -30. It's the nicest one I found, and it's a good intermediate thing to have your titles like angled. And then we're gonna change the font, because playing with this I found out that the font is in there, and so now we can do it. And the font takes a dictionary, as usual for a lot of things in Dataviz. You're going to first set the color as red. At least you won't miss the difference. And the size as 10, maybe 12. It should work for 12. And now, obviously I missed something. You go by cell 42.6. What's the difference now? Nothing changed up there. Oh, it's funny. Let me cut and just come back to you. Okay, so I checked a few things out. First, I checked out the publisher, renamed it publisher list to be sure that there wasn't any conflict anywhere. And I also found out that annotations was taking an S here. So now that we're back, let's do a fig.show. And here we are. You can see that the titles are now angled and we can read correctly, and you have all the numbers up there. So this is for me a success, and it's enough for today. This video was long enough. I hope it was interesting or it helped you with something, and I'll see you around. Bye.